everybody, I am Tommy, and you are on the Love Boat. What's happening? I am here to pat you on the back this morning. That's how we're going to start this puppy anyway, and that's probably going to get really ugly. But I'm here to pat everybody on the back. I'm kidding. It's not going to get ugly. But it's going to get real. We're going to talk about some truths. One of the first truths is I'm a parrot. You understand? If I have a super skill, if there's anything that I do well, Styling One, good to see you. How are you? Chase the Heat, there he is. Taylor, what's happening? Jane Aldrich, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Sandy Wandy, I'm glad you're here. I'm a parrot. It's not even public speaking as much as it is that I parrot back information that I find in other places. And it doesn't mean that I learn all of this stuff. My ex used to call it bathtub knowledge. She said lawyers are fantastic at it because what ends up happening. Hello, Audra in Denver, Caroline in Canada. Good place to be right now. I'm one of those people that can parrot things back, but you fill the bathtub with all kinds of cool information, right? There was a time I could tell you probably anything about P. Diddy. I would imagine I have forgotten a great deal of it because it's just not important anymore. You know, you're memorizing something that you intend to parrot back. And I was telling my brother a story about this. I cannot remember the name of the author. But I was in a federal institution in the state of Oregon. It was at the very end of my sentence. And this is at a time in my life where I'm not doing anything wrong. Like I'm not breaking any rules in any way. I'm in prison, and it's a soft prison. I mean, it's still ugly, but it's by prison standards. It's a pretty safe place to be. And I found myself in the hole for the dumbest crap in the world. I was talking to my father on the telephone, and he was talking about investing in a company. And I said, he was talking about a reverse shell merger, like a pink sheet stock that was dangerous. And I'm trying to explain it to him. Stephanie, how are you? And I'm talking about things like coupons and puts and calls and things that the person listening has absolutely no idea what I'm talking about and assumes it's a code of some kind to get some dope sent in. So they got to bring in somebody that is versed in stock to see if I'm lying. And while that happens, I sit in the SHU, the segregated housing unit, the hole. And I said to the guy, man, I'm not even supposed to be here because book cart's like Thursday. And I got there on a Monday and I'm like, don't make me wait till Thursday for the book cart. And he goes, well, there's nothing on it until all the guys kick stuff back. I'm like, man, bring up whatever is on it. Like I'm going to read something. I'm in there where I have no radio. I got no nothing. You're just sitting in a concrete box alone for a week. And it was a book by a guy that started out as a mathematician and started to look at what causes collapses in society by trying to put some kind of math equations to this. This isn't going to shock anybody. But what destroys society is a lack of connection. Now, that may not have been how he worded it at the time, but a lot of the things that he said in the book, I've been parroting back to you forever. Things like, you know, we used to do all of these activities where we all came together and we had a connection that was stronger than who you voted for president. There was a connection that was stronger than what your favorite football team is, or whether you believe in abortion, or whether you don't believe in abortion, or you believe in gun control, or you think everybody should be issued 4 of them at birth. There were so many other things that were the glue that held together the people on planet Earth. And this is from the time that we started making fire. Everybody sat around that fire and talked to one another, right? This is something that has been the glue and the cohesion for all eternity. But as a society starts to collapse, there are predictable things that happen every single time a society collapses. And usually one of them is that we end up with too many really smart people, right? For real. And I don't mean smart by birth, because intelligence that you're born with, right, is different. Your IQ, your ability to amass info, right? That's intelligence quotient. How much crap can you take in and memorize, right? Put in your brain and then access it later. That's intelligence quotient. But if you decide that you want to memorize every statistic that has ever come out about baseball, you might be a genius, but you're probably not someone to talk to about algebra, right? So what happens is the dream of the society is based on if you're really super educated, your life is an easy street. The trouble becomes you hit a place where everybody believes that because the previous generation all own homes, they have cars, but the people who went to college, they got 2 homes, they got vacations, they got all this stuff. So the next generation looks to the previous one and makes their decisions on life consciously or subconsciously based on how well the people that came before you did, right? We end up with a lot of really stupid people too. Ashley, I'm a minute or 2 away from that. I promise. Don't go anywhere. So this is crazy, right? Now, you guys got this figured out. I'm patting you on the back. You're here not to watch somebody get tased, and you're not here to see somebody get hit in the nuts with a baseball or to look at kitty videos. You're here to connect with other people, not me. I mean, I give you a topic. I'll give you something to talk about. Kibitz among yourselves. But seriously, the rest of the world forgets this, and we end up with a hyper elite. We end up with all of these people that have absolutely tons of education in whatever they're into. Politicians, right? People in media, people that want to go into acting or film producing. What happens when you take a town and that town has one carpenter? That dude kicks the crap out of it, doesn't he? Anything that needs to be built, you're like, call hell. What happens when that town gets 2,000 carpenters? Well, first of all, carpentry goes down in value because you can hire people anywhere. But once that happens, the carpenters begin to attack each other. That dude, forget he's a bad carpenter, he's a child molester. Forget that this dude's bad. YouTube's a beautiful example of this, right? You got 65 million people competing for views. If one starts to climb out of the barrel and starts to be successful, a whole new group of people decides to just pull them back down in because that's how you're going to make money, trying to climb over the top of them like crabs trying to get out of a bucket. Doesn't work. But this is what happens in society, and this is what's happening now. We don't watch the news. We watch people on CNN crap on people on Fox. We watch people on Fox crap on people on CNN. And in the process, they tip this down. So now what do? The middle class blames the government for its problems. This happens in every societal collapse in history. They blame the government. But not the government, the Democrats or the Republicans. Well, they're not going to blame the government because the fissure has already started. People aren't happy anymore. Why? Because there's no freaking connection. But they don't realize that. They don't realize that. Normally that loss of connection happens because when you're not having a good time, you're going to blame somebody. And you blame the opposite political party, and this becomes an issue. What if there are 500 other forces driving you apart? The more it gets driven apart and the more that the elite argue, and they do it for entertainment on our screens, you end up with a society that now you don't just hate the left or hate the right. You fear the left and you fear the right. It's not that the Democrats aren't going to put a good president in. They're going to destroy the planet. Or the Republicans aren't going to put in a good candidate. No, they're going to enslave everybody and take away all of your rights and put guards out in front of your house. This is one of those things that sort of just gets terrifying. Hold 1 second, people. I got to blow my nose. So where are we at today? The guy that wrote this book also was one of the first people to recognize something that he calls the debt death spiral. While we start yelling about how bad the government sucks, the government has to do things to make it look like they don't suck. And the way they do it is they borrow more money. When I started the Love Boat, we talked about $27 trillion of debt. I did a show talking about it. I talked about thank you so much. Talked about what $1 trillion is. If you stack them up, they go to the moon. Not even being funny. $1 trillion is a concept I can't wrap my brain around. Well, now we're at like 35 trillion. Here's what happens. We're in a debt spiral. Everybody knows this. But there's something called a debt death spiral. And simply put, it's when the interest on the money outshines how much you have to pay. So I talk about all the time, what is the biggest spending in our budget? Well, it's obviously the military. And then number 2 would be what? The war on drugs. We talk about this all the time. However, I haven't been 100% honest because this causes panic and makes people go completely insane. But the number one thing is interest. We pay more on interest than we do on our military. Interest on the cash we're borrowing, millions of dollars every couple of minutes that we're borrowing. And you hear people say, this isn't our debt. We're passing this on to our grandkids. If you believe this is going to continue, then you have absolutely no idea what destroyed Rome or any other place. The fall of Rome, right? We all had to read this if you did college or maybe even in high school, depending on what courses you took. What made Rome collapse? You know what they start doing? They start cutting the dope, right? For real. So you're paying all of your soldiers an ounce of silver a day. You make the coins. Put a little nickel in it, right? Put a little something else in it. Because money actually used to mean something. So if you wanted to make more of it, but you didn't have enough silver, you cut it. Your gold coins, you don't have enough gold, you put some tungsten in it. But now we live in a society where all of the currency is fiat, meaning it's not backed up by squat. So you don't have to go and print something that somebody goes and tries to bite the coin, you low life. Nothing like that. Every dollar feels the same, whether it's worth 100 pennies or whether it's worth absolutely nothing. And the ugly truth is that the money is worth absolutely nothing. Rome did fall a few times. But that's kind of like how many times I got sober, isn't it? You know what I mean by that? Like I got sober 100 times, right? No, I didn't, because I came back. The fall of Rome, when all of a sudden the largest and strongest empire on planet Earth, right? Alexander wept when he saw that there were no other places to conquer. But sadly, that wasn't, going to work out. You can't live on currency that isn't real. And if you look at fiat currencies throughout history, they make about 30 years on average. Murphy, good to see you. They make about 30 years on average. We're way the hell over that, folks. We're way the hell over that. We started to go off the gold standard, that term. People go, oh, Johnny Skilby, you talking about peppers? That dude's the gold standard. Pepper eaters. The gold standard was every dollar we had was backed up somewhere, Fort Knox or otherwise, with $1 worth of gold. Correct? Thanks, Isis. I had a professor say that almost exact same sentence to somebody. The things you remember from when you're young and you don't remember anything from when you're old. I'll forget this stuff in 5 days. I won't. This is frightening to me. One of the first flashing neon signs that a society is collapsing? People leaving the country. We struggle with this. I've wanted to have this conversation since before I left America. But the truth of the matter is, I'm going to really alienate a lot of the audience talking about the problems in my birth country. Makes it sound like I hate where I was born. I love where I was born. But it's about to catch fire. And the reason is, throughout history, this has been the most predictable stuff in the whole world. But now we have individuals that, first of all, take any politician. They've been in office 30 or 40 years. You know what they're doing? They're looting the treasury. This is how every society ends. The elite that run the country start going, uh-oh, this ain't good. And they start insider trading and doing everything they can to siphon as much money off. And if you really take the time to chase it, they're putting it in other countries because they don't have any faith in their own. It's terrifying. So what do people do? They go, ooh, this isn't good. So I'm going to invest. I'm going to buy stocks. I'm going to get, if your stock or your land or any of your investments, what are they worth? You say, hey, why I left America? I live in South America these days, Denisha. The reason I left America is fairly simple. It's going to fall apart. It can't not. And when it does, it is a nation that is dependent on what is on the store shelves at Walmart to eat. The supply chains are so efficient, it's incredible. They also can be disrupted by anything, anywhere. When you go into Walmart, nothing that you're buying in there is made in America. That's an issue, right? The food, yeah, most of the food's American. But you still got to get it from the fields into the stores. Throughout history, as societies collapsed, there are predictabilities. How much is a soldier making every single day in silver? Throughout history, if what you're paying a soldier outstretches what 1 ounce of silver is worth, then you're on the way to hell. Your empire will implode. You know what an ounce of silver goes for, folks? Somewhere between 12 and 16 bucks on average. Sometimes it'll get up. I've seen it as high as 35. You think we're paying soldiers 35 bucks a day? You're wrong. All of these signposts were flashing in my face. And unfortunately, I had an opportunity to lay down for a really long time and read nonfiction books. And the ones that were always on book carts were written by economists. No one wants to hear this. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them. This is a tinderbox. And the crazy thing is, it doesn't matter where the spark comes from. As we stop hanging out with one another and we blame the political parties for every problem we have in life. For instance, all those kids graduating college can't afford apartments, much less houses. How many of them are living with mom and dad? This is the signposts of economies that are collapsing. There's no middle class left. So you have a bubble economy. You have people at the top that are going to be approaching very rapidly a trillionaire. Get that? A trillionaire. That's coming. You know what's not coming? Tons of Americans making $250,000 a year. They're gone. And what's the solution? AI. AI is going to come in and fix all these problems. That's what they're telling us. What it's going to do is alienate us more. And when we don't talk to each other, we start talking to AI. But AI is an echo chamber worse than YouTube. Right? We don't listen to any discourse anymore. We don't listen to people that we disagree with. You know why? Because they're the problem. It's not Trump that's an idiot. It's all those idiots that voted for Trump. Or it's not Biden who's an idiot. It's all those idiots that voted for Biden. Once you start blaming your neighbor for what the government is doing, get out of Dodge. You don't have to leave America. But be smart with where you live for the next 10 years. I'm serious. If you have any mobility at all, if you have the ability to go to some place that isn't a center of human beings, you might want to do it. You might want to do it. Watch where the rich are buying land, right? If they're not buying islands, and a bunch of them are, then they're buying land in parts of America where you might be able to just drive to a farmer's place and ask them to buy some food. I'm not going to become a prepper. I moved to a place where I can walk 15 feet and go fishing, where if the electric failed, every person in this country runs their stuff on gas, and it's still delivered in tanks. There's a lot you can do, like having 8 of those tanks in your garage, right? Or your bodega. It sucks in a very big way to have to say this. It isn't the same place we grew up, Linda. You nailed that. This is not the same place that we grew up. Funny how a year ago the country wasn't dying. The country was dying in 1980. It was. When we went off the gold standard and we made money worth what it is, the dollar bill, the currency of the planet, right? Where everything is trained. Run away, ISIS. What I'm going to do is protect myself and my interests. Here's the thing. I'm not suggesting I'm not telling you to leave America. I'm telling you to leave cities. I picked this place for a reason. And I'm happy as hell that I ran away. And if you're offended by that, I'd love for you to voice it. It's all good. I'm not going to get mad at you. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking to me. I'm sorry. I've been dying for years. People are too ignorant to realize it. Ashley, I'm so sorry. But you know what? Here's the thing. As terrifying as all of this sounds, Taylor says, I was born in 96 and it's always been like this for me. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of us remember dial-up phones, right? So we've seen a lot of crazy things happen in a very short period of time. Denisha, I understand that this probably sounds weird coming from me. Really. But a lack of connection at the moment is going to absolutely destroy this planet. People, anytime I talk about this, it's not that there's not hope. It's not that there's not hope. There's not hope that the dollar is going to be the currency of the planet in 20 years. That's done. I mean, there's no way to come back from the debt spiral. It doesn't mean that it's going to destroy the country, but the country is going to have to radically change. And this isn't the first time that America's had to radically change. Unfortunately, they didn't make really good decisions the first time. Do you know that there were times in the country where the government went and took gold from civilians if they had it in bars or things like that? No joke. You can research that. That's why when people go and buy gold, they want it in coins. They want it with something that has intrinsic value, because the United States still reserves the right to come get bulk gold from you if the crap is hitting the fan. But it doesn't mean that the planet's going to end or that America's going to end. I think AI is going to kill us. I'm not going to lie to anybody, but the country needs to change. And the way that it has to change is if the citizenry were to not buy the BS, then the opportunity for citizens to come together and make change would be fantastic. But what we have now are two groups of elites who have realized that the only way that they can stay in office is to promise that they're going to destroy the other party. What could possibly go wrong? Candidates now run on a platform of those people are evil. I don't have gold, but I do have a lot of yarn. You know something, Denisha? May end up being a really good thing. If you have skills that do not require other things, they're going to become handy. I'm not trying to turn anybody into a prepper. But what I'm trying to do is make people realize that if it started as a spark, if the messages that people put out sounded something along the lines of, we stopped talking to one another. This society can endure anything if they love one another. I mean it. Look, I have spent unreasonable amounts of time locked in concrete boxes with men who I hated. If you can come together and find anything that you share in common, like you get into a cell and you look at a guy and you go, oh my God, you walk in and his entire face is blasted back. He's got a swastika on his forehead, right? And I walk into the cell and just go, oh, for the love of God. But if that dude likes anything I like, cars, wristwatches, what football team, did you ever jump out of an airplane? Have you ever gone skiing? What do you know about politics? If there's something that I can share with that individual, I rile people up on this channel all the time. You take the time to write me emails and tell me I'm stupid, but you keep coming back, which makes me happy. You come back because the people you're talking to here, you're not ready to give up because I said something that pissed you off. Do you understand? We spend all of our time concentrating on what makes us different from them. You know, those people that want boys in girls' locker rooms, or those people that want to take away your guns, or the people that want everybody to have a gun and be able to sell it on their own if they want and not have any laws or anything. Why is it that we care so much more about gun control now, or the right to bear arms now, than we did in 70, 80, 90, 2000, 2010? Why is it so much different now? School shootings. Nope. No, it's because Walter Cronkite used to tell the left and the right what the news was, right? And there could be some debate among people, and the radical, right? The lunatic fringe, everybody on both sides, we're lunatics. It's always been that way. Now there's not a middle ground. As the middle class disappears, so do moderates. So do people who go, yeah, there's a lot the left says that I agree with, honestly. Like socially, they seem to be a little bit more in tune. But fiscally, I kind of like what the Republicans do. Those middle ground people go poof and completely disappear, along with the middle class. And then what you have is the radical, terrifying fringe elements becoming mainstream. The next thing to come are populist candidates. They don't run on issues of any kind. They run like Hitler did in 39. And I know people are going to go, that's Trump. Tell you what, maybe not. Who cares? Who cares? It's irrelevant. At this point, honestly, it's irrelevant. The problem is that we hate each other, not that we hate Trump or love Trump. We hate our neighbor. We hate our neighbor. As of a couple of months ago, 1 out of every 4 Americans said that they believe it's okay to take up arms against your government if it needs a change. Now, if your government won't give you your basic rights, it's time to get another government, right? Payne, wasn't that Payne? I think it was. Common Sense, the paper written by Payne, said, if your government won't give you basic rights, it's time to get a new government. He was, of course, talking about King George and all the crap that was going on in the US or whatever. Well, there are a lot of people that don't think the government is providing the basic rights that people should have. Unfortunately, as soon as people begin to believe that, we fracture them. They should be providing you health care. They should be giving you free college. They should be doing this. And they won't. They don't want to help you. It's not the United States. We love you. It's those friggin' Republicans. Anybody that just showed up that's a Democrat, just woohoo. No, it's those freaking Democrats. It's that both political parties are just one side or one wing of the same bird. And one of two things is happening with every politician on planet Earth. They've never taken an economics course in their life. They've never talked to one economist in their life, or they know exactly what's happening. And they're sticking around long enough to suck as much money out of that government as they possibly can. More than ever, this causes one last thing that will make society erode. The younger elite that went and got highly educated, right? They're still looking to those rich people above and going, what the hell happened to us? You know what we need? We need what they have in Norway. We need socialism. The truth of the matter is they don't bother to research squat. They look and go, Norway, that's a socialist country. And look how good everybody lives there. That's a free economy. Don't get it messed up. Those people have capitalism. They just tax the dog crap out of everybody and give all the money back out, which is cool. And if that works, great. But quit yelling socialism, because that's never worked once anywhere on planet Earth. Get that? Ever. Venezuela has more oil reserves than any place on Earth and can't keep the lights on. Right? Nothing to it. And the government owns the oil. Can't keep the lights on. When socialism kicks in, they have to decide what products to make. So they go, well, we're going to need these, and these. But since there's no competition, they make a bunch of stuff that gets overstocked because nobody wants it. The stuff that everybody wants doesn't show up. And it's been this place everywhere. Some of the most highly educated people on planet Earth live in Cuba. Right? They're not killing it. They're not killing it. It's a terrifying reality. Venezuela is what we are becoming. There's a lot of truth to that. No, it's not anymore, actually. But what drove it into the dirt was. Now it's not socialism. Now it's in an economic change period, which is what's going to happen to America after democracy fails. Because a group of people are going to come together and go, this didn't work. We need to figure something else out. However, whatever you had your dollars in isn't going to be worth a whole lot. So while we need to come together, I'd put a little food up. Right? I'd learn how to prepare food. I would do things like that. Not get crazy, not build a bunker, but just learn how to be a little bit more self-sufficient and ask yourself a couple of really uncomfortable questions. If they turned off Walmart and all of the stores that I go to, what would I do? That's an unfortunate question. But you have to realize that at some point, this supply chain will be disrupted enough so that you're not going to be able to go to Walmart and buy the crap that you need. What are you going to do to eat? But why should we take care of old people? Well, they gave us birth. It's kind of the responsibility of the young, or always has been, right? And I'm not saying that you should necessarily do anything. I would. But Lindy, have fun. Be good. Krista Melinda, good to see you. These are ugly conversations that no one wants to have. I know, actually. Here's the thing. Do you know how many people are saying that? Do you have any idea the problem that Japan is having? Japan has a very old society that is dying off and nobody to take care of them. And the society itself literally thrived on taking care of your elders. But they didn't have enough kids. And there aren't people to take care. You can buy derelict homes in Japan for pennies because there's nobody that wants to even go out and look at what great-granddad's house even looked like. If they can get any of the money out of it, they're happy to roll. This is ugly. You know, there are still people all over this planet. Bill Gates screaming at the top of his lungs that overpopulation is going to destroy this planet. We are at a larger threat of dying because of underpopulation than overpopulation. As messed up as this all seems, if people don't buy products, people don't survive. Crazy, right? I mean, unless you buy a plot of land, you grow all your own stuff. right? You live off the grid completely, and you have animals, and that's a possibility. And there are people that are going to go that route. But in the rest of the world, where there are population centers and things of that nature, what keeps societies alive is when products are manufactured and purchased. Whether governments purchase them and hand them out to people, again, hasn't worked real well, or free market economies go. It's not that democracy is a bad idea. Democracy is the only thing that ever seems to sustain for any period of time, probably based on the fact that most emotions cannot be predicted. Caringness, loving, fairness, all of those things. But a drive to live the best life you possibly can is something that is so inherently baked into our DNA that that drive goes fantastic. Unfortunately, now to get really wealthy, you're probably delving into a realm that you have absolutely no idea the outcome of. Imagine every manufacturer in your city making something that has the possibility of exploding and destroying the planet, and just keep making it. It's the same here, Tommy. The house is just like empty, unused, and unsavable because there aren't enough new babies and not enough, even with immigrants, not enough. And everybody's moving. Well, it's happening here too. It is. There has been an exodus of people from Ecuador. And sadly, they're running to the land of dreams, right? They're going for the American dream. And what they don't realize is that the American dream is what they saw on a television screen. And I'm not bad-mouthing the American dream. I think it's the greatest concept in the world. But if you are 26 and you went to school and you studied hard and you got a degree, it didn't guarantee you anything other than student debt. And they know this is so bad among the elite that can't get jobs. This is why they say, if you elect me, I'm going to pay off your college debt. What could it hurt? We'll just print up some more money. The governments have to do more and more radical things to keep people from freaking out. Look what happened during COVID. Hey, we're going to give you all money. I know things are bad, but we're going to give you a fat ass paycheck and you can go do whatever you want with it and have fun. Because Europe is a large group of countries. Anybody can work anywhere. And so they are paid better in France and Luxembourg and Andorra. And they just come home for a visit. Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely real. Here's the things. Ashley says, we do need worker bees here. You know something? Worker bees make the world go around. Let's invent something that replaces them. I'm telling you, here's the deal. Let me ask you all a serious question. I want you to put a deuce in the chat. Let's say wherever you live, whatever the living wage is, you live somewhere where the living wage is $3,000 a month. If your government said, I'll give you $36,000 a year to do nothing, would you rather take that money or go to work? Seriously. If you'd rather take the money, put a deuce in the chat. If you'd rather go to work, put a 3 there. There was a time where everyone on earth would answer this question. They would rather go to work. You know why? Because there wasn't one of these things to fart around on all day if you weren't at work, right? You had to figure out something you were going to do with all day long. You weren't going to a bar. You weren't, you know what I mean? There wasn't a million options. Just go to the mall and walk through it. You know what I mean? I'll just go hang out. There was a time where what you did meant something, and it was a part of you. It was a part of what you were. Take that away from everybody and see what happens. We're talking about playing with fire in ways that, and I watched an interview. Look, I'm deep diving this stuff, folks. I'm fascinated because it's hastening the apocalypse at a rate you can't imagine. And it looks very prophetic to me. So I'm spending a lot of time researching the people that are making this stuff happen. I'm not playing with AI. I got to say this in every video because I keep getting emails from people that tell me I'm playing with fire. I'm not playing with AI. I'm studying it. And I don't mean I'm studying it by talking to it. I'm using old school research methods as much as you can these days because AI is involved in everything to try to find out who's running it and what they're doing. Working is fun and I go home feeling like I'm worth a damn. Yeah. In the US, you need 3 jobs and still can't afford a home. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. When I moved from Nevada to Tucson, they were putting up apartments in Nevada, in northern Nevada, up by Reno and Tahoe and that area. They were putting up apartments and it was like Legos. I've never seen anything like it in my life. They tore down a mall and put up a city. I mean, they're very beautiful buildings, but if they were all concrete, it'd look an awful lot like the projects. It's just where we're headed. It's not all doom and gloom. I promise you it's not. If every single person in America said, I am never going to judge a human being for who they vote for, this could all be righted. But the people in office know this is happening and are allowing it to happen. There's something inherently evil about that. This isn't the kind of stuff that, I mean, even the politicians who talk about this, they go, boy, if we don't turn this around real quick, they're not saying, people, we're this close to critical mass. We're this close to a point where all of a sudden, every penny that comes in doesn't cover the debt. You tax $40 trillion, you know, and that whole $40 trillion is just paying the interest on the debt. Then it's a wrap. There has never been a society that can come back from that. It's never happened. And when I say the society can't come back, I mean, they may not even call it America by the time it's done. It gives a real opportunity for people that don't like you to kind of walk in, and they don't even have to take the place over. Because when they hit soil, no one wants to fight them. They're hoping they have a better solution than the people that ran it before them. I'm not going to be popular for any of these things, but I'm starting to feel really janky not talking about this. And as somebody that wants to be seen, right? Somebody that speaks on a platform and tries to impart beliefs, things that I see that sometimes I don't feel like other people are talking about. This isn't a conversation people want to hear. You guys probably can't see this in real time, but on my screen, I can see who shows up basically by the number going up by 3 and then it instantly back down because they're showing up and I'm going, oh God, this isn't fear porn. You've never seen me do this with asteroid T29 that's about to slam into the planet. I don't do this stuff. You know, there's a virus they're releasing and I'm not a fear porn kind of dude. I'm really not. But no society in history has been where America is in its cycle and come back. It's never happened. Ever. And you have to start thinking in terms of what the future is going to be. Because the landscape of the planet has never been unpredictable like it is today. And people go, I don't know, during this war, that war. A person could communicate with everybody on Earth at one time. That has never been realistic. If a war broke out in America 100 years ago, it could be 2 months before any other place heard of it. Now, if somebody farts in Boston, Massachusetts, somebody probably took a video of it. And if they didn't, he sure as hell was on video in the street. People, I watched a 56-minute video of Elon Musk this morning talking about how the world will collapse. And I'll tell you what, every bit of it is based on books and research and really solid stuff. It wasn't Elon Musk. I mean, it was Elon Musk, but it wasn't Elon Musk. You can clone anyone, have them say anything. What the ethics and the laws and all of the things that are happening going forward, this is impossible to wrap your brain around if you're not in the middle of it. Tommy Bird, good to see you. What's happening? I'll tell you right now, listen, there's a company called 11 Labs. One of the guys that I used to collaborate with uses 11 Labs for an awful lot of stuff on his channel. 11 Labs, if you go there, you can clone anyone's voice on planet Earth. And you can do it with the free model. If you want to play with it, go knock yourself out. It doesn't cost $1. So if you can find somebody who's got a lot of voice out there, say 3,000 videos, 5,000 videos, something like that, without spending $1, you can take that person's voice and make him say anything you want for an ad, or just to make him look like he's a bad person or anything else. This is not good. This is not good. When you don't know whether a video you're watching is your president telling you that he hates black people, or just some guy that took your president's face and made a video where he says he hates black people, we're in a really scary time. Morning, Tommy. Chat mods, including fur babies. Katy Perry squirrel and the squirrel nut zip zip. Check this out, just in case. My girl's back on the clock. It took a while, but she's adjusting to the new basket. You know what I mean? It's she was very fond of the other one, but the other one she kind of outgrew. She was hanging out over the side of it, and Katy Perry would never fit in that. You need a much bigger basket. We're in scary times without AI. Ashley, ain't that the truth? Huh? Ain't that the truth? By the way, that was a squirrel in a basket, if you're new to the channel. We have opportunities, believe it or not. So lest you think this is all, do we know that for real, Isis? Honestly, I don't believe anything anymore. I'm on tape saying things I've never said. I promise you I am. I heard it. Tons of people did. You wouldn't believe what you can do. And you don't even have to buy the app. That's the free version. Go play with it. Go play with it. I am not convinced that anything I see anymore is real. I'm not. Type into your search bar AI shorts and watch. That is a cat in a basket, to be sure, and it's a real one. That is not an AI generated cat. You can go watch videos of aircraft carriers taking up off of the ocean vertically, taking off, flying, and attacking things. Obviously, it's not real. But the only reason you know it's not real is because you understand the current physics of an aircraft carrier. If you were a human being that's been in prison and has not had access to anything in the last 20 years and came out and you showed him that video, he'd go, holy crap, boats are flying. And a guy with a $10 app made that. There's nothing left that can be trusted. And it's the end of the video. And I don't mean right now. But the end of this pitch is the last thing that happens is the erosion of trust in your government. When you no longer trust them in any way, one spark will ignite the tinder. It doesn't take much of anything. When there is no longer any trust in government, it's a wrap. But we're way past that. We don't trust government. We don't trust media. We don't trust our neighbor. We don't trust what we see. We don't trust what we hear. Should just be a computer talking. Unless it's about us, right? If it's about the Scovilles, you believe. Well played. Well played. Nobody here does. I appreciate you. Appreciate it. Good stuff. You're funny, man. You're funny. You're right. Now there's going to be 20 shorts of Tommy telling everybody to go play with it. Great. You're right. You're right. Here's the thing, though. I'm done. I'm done. I'd love for this to be a profitable gig, but I'm here because if I don't get this out, this is what I will sit and think about all day long. Being able to get here and have a conversation. Thank you, Susan Miller. Appreciate you spending time with us. Really appreciate you. Charlie Kirk debates college students all the time about college being a scam and AI taking their jobs soon anyway. So they have insane debt and won't use their degree. So go get into other skills. You know what? He's right. I'm sorry, he is. I had somebody send me an email and ask me if Spanx Calhoun was 16, what would I tell him to do? And I said, I'd tell him to go into the trades. I'd figure out how to build a house. I'd be able to frame a house. I'd be able to run electrical. I'd be able to fix a toilet. As funny as it sounds, if it goes completely to hell, I can take apart a watch and put it back together. And there's just a handful of people left that can still do that. So, I mean, there are skills that people can get into that are going to be in demand. The sad thing is this. 5 years ago, I would have said, become a plumber. You're never going to be replaced by a machine if you're a plumber. Absolutely, they're going to replace plumbers with machines. Absolutely there. Unfortunately, we've now hit the era of the bipod robot. And a bipod robot stands on 2 feet, has arms, will be able to do anything a human being can do. It's just when. It's not if, it's when. And they're going to sell thousands of them this year. Tesla factories already employ them. And by employ them, I mean they charge them up each night. Who on earth is going to buy an employee every 2 weeks if they can buy one every 10 years? and just get software upgrades as he gets better and better and better. And those people designing the software upgrades, or the people who have their machines designing the software upgrades, will be making so much money that they're going to be able to pay all of the other people on earth who don't work. None of this makes any sense. You do realize this. This is the dystopia that we're screaming to at an alarming rate. Now, I'll tell you something. In the 1970s, if you lived through the 1970s, bell bottoms, right? Low riders, the Bee Gees, good decade. But if you lived through the 70s, we had some strife in the U.S. We had hyperinflation. We had a lot of things that were going on that were pretty bad. And we had gas lines. When you went to get gas, if your license plate ended in an odd number, you couldn't get gas on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If your license plate, so they had this, and there were lines of cars that would take you 35, 40 minutes. OPEC, the oil producing and exporting countries, decided that they were going to turn the tap off on all that oil that we bought. And there were lines. People all over the country were freaking out. Do people remember that? Ashley says, I'm stuck in the 80s. I think I will stay there. I live there. And it's pretty damn cool, man. This place is absolutely the 80s all the time. Even the music they play everywhere. This is an 80s kind of town. I really dig it. But I remember going to the bottom of the hill in a teeny town in Vermont. And at the gas station, Bud's place, we drove a Datsun B210, itty bitty little yellow car. It's got incredible gas mileage. I think it was like 28 or 29 miles to the gallon, which back then was insane. Insane. But when we got there, there was a car getting gas at the pump. And my mother pulled up behind it. And when Bud came out, he looked at my mother and said, what do you know? We got gas lines. The moral of that story is it was the exact same time. And the exact same thing was going on in my mom's world as was going on in the rest of the world. But she lived in a town that had 800 people. She didn't live in a city that had 15 million. Maybe find a place that isn't as dependent as other places. Rural towns, you watch. I mean, it's been this way for eternity. When a society collapses, the closer you are to your neighbor, the worse life becomes, because they will begin attacking one another for the basic needs that they need for survival. But if every one of those neighbors had 100 acres, there's probably less likely that they're going to fight each other. If that's not logical to you, I can't do any better than that. I promise I can't. You know what? Ecuador or bust. My Def Leppard shirt was a big hit in Ecuador. I couldn't believe the kid knew who they were. Oh, no way. Anything like that. This is a very 80s kind of place. I don't know how to explain it, but you get into taxi cabs and you hear Bananarama and you're like, hell yeah. They don't have any idea what she's singing, but nevertheless. Walk like an Egyptian. All right, people. I'm not trying to be a doomsday guy. Do you understand this? But I'll leave you with this. The last time the you-know-what really hit the fan, the Rockefellers were created. During the worst economic periods in the world, there are people who say, I live in Ecuador. I do, Denisha. This is my home. And I love it. I love the America. I love the land. I love the people. But I'm not. If you had a long time where you got pulled out of society and all you could do was read, you would have read things because you run out of stuff to read. Like I got to a point where I would read anything. And the writing on the wall has been around forever. There are economists who have been predicting this from the very second we began running a fiat currency. When we had $1 trillion debt, there were people going, oh my God, it's over. And now we're at 35 and we have people telling us not to worry about it. Don't worry about it. This is new economics. I'm not BSing you at all. There are people who are saying, this is the new economics. All of that old stuff doesn't apply. What happened to Rome won't happen now because we got supercomputers, right? Yes, our debt is going absolutely insane, but that's because we haven't switched to the full 5G, super Web 5. Bleh. It's smoke and mirrors because the people telling that lie are elected to tell that lie. And I promise you, man, they got a golden parachute. Every last one of them, they got zero to fear. They've all got an escape plan. They all own an a buttload of gold. In 1970, when the ship hit the fan, gold was $35 an ounce. Did you catch that? Gold was $35 an ounce. By the time that crisis was over, gold was $800. They're not making any more gold. People go, they're not making any more Bitcoin, and I have some, but it's also in a computer, which scares me a little bit. But I would buy things that people need. I would have things around, like I would have a really good tool set, right? So that you could help build and do things. My governor has a golden parachute and he destroyed my state. I am so sorry to hear that. On the bright side, I'm getting to a point where I'm not afraid to talk about politics because there isn't a side that's right. Makes it really easy, right? A little less of an echo chamber. If I were to become a conservative lunatic, I would get a lot more subscribers because people want to hear an echo chamber. Nobody wants to hear both sides anymore. That's dead. It's not vogue, you see. You know why? Because if I agree with you, it's validating. And when you stop connecting with others, you just need friggin' validation of some kind. That's what connection is. It doesn't even have to validate you to say you're a good person. It just has to validate you to say, I'm listening. But high-tech media has given us the opportunity to not say, I'm listening. We get the opportunity to say, you're right, they're wrong. And now all of the problems that you have in life have a reason. I'm not making enough money to work. Friggin' Democrats. I got pulled over by a cop the other day. I feel like I'm in a big brother state. Freaking Republicans. It's got to be somebody to blame, right? You know what we're ripe for? A Hitler. You guys think Trump is Hitler? Wait till you see a populist, a no-lie populist run for president. Because all they're going to tell you is, I'm going to kill the enemies when we get in here. And you go, that'll never happen. It's going to happen. It always does. There will be a populist leader that is going to pop up. And they're going to promise that this is the fault of them. And when I get in here, they're all going away. And I don't mean getting put in jail. I mean, they're going away. And if you push someone far enough, right now, 25% of the country says it's okay to take arms up against the government because they're screwing up that bad. What do you think that number will be in a decade? And it goes from you should be able to take up arms against him to you should kill everybody on the other side. Right? It's the Jews' fault. I think that's what Hitler said, isn't it? And then gassed about 6 million of them. And we look and we go, whew, boy, our ancestors were savages, weren't they? That kind of crap can't happen in a world like today. You watch anything on YouTube? With all due respect, right? To everybody. You watch any of it? Family Guy, one of my favorite shows. And I've been evaluating the hell out of that. I watched it with Johnny the other day, and you take 3 months off of watching that, 4 months off of watching that, and go back and see the jokes that they do based on stereotypes. And you know what? I am a wide berth kind of thick skin. You're not going to offend me. But if I was Jewish, I'd hate that show. Holy hell. And if that show came out in 1950, do you have any idea what we would have done? And on the flip side of that, All in the Family with Archie Bunker couldn't be made today. Do you see what's happening? Trust and believe. Free speech is the next thing to go. Do you know why? Because they're not going to allow people to incite riots. And if you tell the truth, you're probably going to incite a riot. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Hey, Isis, that's not true, hon. I love you. Do a little research on that. It'll make you feel better. I promise you, you're not even close to right on that. It was not. He is not the only one. There have been presidents that ran that said that the other party was a hermaphrodite. And if that party got elected, he would kill them. Go back and research that. Type in president calls challenger a hermaphrodite. Look it up. History repeats itself constantly. When people come out and say stuff like, this has never happened, they mean in your lifetime because you're not going to research it. And I'm not being disrespectful to you. I mean everybody. Well, they said it online has become a terrifying thing. And the people who are designing AI think misinformation is friggin' awesome. You understand? AI is not being designed by anybody that leans particularly hard to the middle. If the people that designed the smartest computer in the entire world can't tell you if a woman is a woman based on her anatomy, we're in deep, deep feces. Hard to wrap your brain around? If I told you at some previous time that a day was coming where a Supreme Court justice at a hearing is asked, what is a woman? And her answer was, I'm not a biologist. Would you have believed me? When you create way too many smart people, that's what they become. They take the most radical extremes of either side, right? From you can't tell what a baby is, they have to grow up and tell you if they're a man or a woman. That's extreme. I'm sorry, it is. It's extreme. It is extreme. Albinism, somebody who is born without the proper pigmentation in their skin. That is something that happens to a lot of people. If we said, we're going to block out the sun, it's just not fair to albinos. You'd go, yeah, but that's not the society. I'm not saying that we oppress people who think that they're born in the wrong body, but don't celebrate it as if it is the greatest gift that ever happened to humanity. By nature of biology, if everybody goes that route, we will not reproduce and the planet will be over. That is obvious to everybody involved, right? Unpopular opinions. Share them, debate them. Tell you what, you want to come on and argue any side of this with me, please do. I won't raise my voice at you. I would like to have a discourse. I really would. I think it's healthy. But the needs of the many are gone. We have elites fighting elites while middle class disappears and the lower class absolutely explodes. What could possibly go wrong? Between now and the next time I see you, I want you to have hope. I mean it. Look, we know the answer. Honest to God, we do. The answer is talking to people. The answer is connecting with people. If you look at bowling, it's a great example. I talk about bowling leagues, right? Do you have any idea how big bowling leagues were? They were massive in 50s, 60s. People still bowl. They just don't do leagues because we can't get along enough to have a league where guys get together. They'll beat the crap out of each other. Not because over the line. Please tell me you get that. Smokey, over the line. Sorry. Smokey was he abstained. He didn't want to go to bowling alleys are gone. Yeah, not everywhere. But you're right. Most of them disappeared. But people still bowl. They just don't do it in groups. And they're not arguing about, a line violation like they did in The Big Lebowski. They're arguing about politics. We can't get together with people that we share a common interest in because they're a friggin' Democrat or they're a friggin' Republican. If we don't fix that, then America will not come back. Come together right now before it's too late. Between now and the next time I see you, reach out to somebody that you wickedly disagree with and tell them you love them. Maybe if you have a relative that voted for the opposite party, call and talk to him about all of the relatives that you both love. Talk to him about that time you got drunk and passed out in his backyard. I don't care what you talk to him about. You know how easy it is to concentrate on something that makes all of us the same? For real. Ever stub your toe? Huh? We all started out identical, and now we have successfully allowed them to convince us that our identity is tied to the last person we voted for office. It's going to get worse if you let it. But if you're somebody right now who's hating somebody because of who they voted for, with all due respect, get your stuff together. Because you are destroying the world. Between now and the next time I see you, put some love in your heart. I'm Tommy. See you on the next one.